Hey there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Just Nick Studio. And for this layout I'm using this cut file which is called Polar Bears. Aren't they really cute? I really like them and I decided to cut one of them out of cardstock, just white basil here. Once I got it off the mat carefully, I found some photos to go with it and I cut the scarf again in a darker red, just cardstock. So I'm just looking, I'm trying to find a pattern paper to be the background for the layout, and I'm using the December 22 Hip Kit, I think it was called HoHoHo, was the exclusive paper range. I do bring in some extra bits later on, but that is what you can see on the screen at the moment. So I'm just trying to find a pattern paper to use as a scarf. I want the scarf to be patterned, but I don't want it to be too in your face, so I'm just trying out all the different papers. In fact, there's too much choice really. And then I bring in a few of the older Christmas papers. I tend to keep all their December, winter, Christmassy stuff together from previous kits. So I'm just having a look what I like the look of. So I've decided, I've got a few more choices there. I really like that like woolen knitted paper, but this one with the tiny triangles I think is the one that I finally go with. So I turn that over and using the scarf as a stencil, I just draw around it, ready to cut out. I could have done this bit on the silhouette, but it was, because it's quite a big piece, just easier to use a pencil and cut it out myself, and then I can just tweak it a little bit. So this is the joy of the silhouette, that you can actually take a cut file and make something a different size or a different shape. So obviously I've really enlarged this one bear. I've also, if you've noticed, changed the face as well. I wanted his eyes to be open just to match the photographs a little bit better. So I took the face from one of the other polar bears and swapped it over. So you wouldn't know when you see the finished layout, but I just like the versatility of cut files. So I brought in an embossing folder. It's just lots of dots, and using just some plain white cardstock, I've embossed a piece to use as his face. And I think that works really quite well. I brought in the nose. I'm going to keep that grey circle. I've cut that as well just to emphasise his nose. And I've used it as a template to cut out a nose from the textured cardstock. In fact, that doesn't make the final cut. I think it's too much, just overwhelming. But I needed to try it, so it's only a bit of paper, isn't it? So now I'm deciding what to do at the bottom of the bear. I bring in that woolly jumper and I'm thinking, does he need a jumper? He's got a scarf, and then I decide no, he doesn't. And I'm going to texture some more white cardstock, which I do with the same embossing folder, just through my Sizzix machine, and I'm going to use that at the bottom as well. So just using some wet glue here from Nuvo, I'm going to put the red scarf and the paper together, then I'm going to add the scarf on top of the bear, and then I will start to add in all the other bits. I really would recommend you check out the cut files at Just Nick. There's lots been added all the time, some really good choices. I particularly like this. This is so cute, this one. They're a good value, so do check them out if you've not heard of Just Nick Studio before. So I'm just working my way through. You know how to layer a cut file. I'm just drawing around it with pencil. And as I say, I wouldn't want to put the textured papers back through the silhouette anyway, and it's not that big a deal to back it yourself. So as you might see, there's a line in the middle of this. It's not as obvious when it's in place, but actually I used the embossing folder at either end of a piece of cardstock because it wasn't quite wide enough. So that took a little bit of time to make sure that I wasn't squeezing any of the dots in the centre, but it is doable. And I mean, you may have bigger embossing folders than me. Mine are only like 6x4s. So, and then I get that face into place. I really like that, the way that this is coming together now. So to actually get his face into place, I bring in the portion from the original time I cut the cut file in basil cardstock, and I just put that into position so that I can actually get the nose and the eyes exactly where they should be. I wanted him to still look cute. I didn't want him to look cross-eyed, so I thought the easiest way was to use that bit as like a template to get the nose, mouth and eyes in. But I had to, you see there was a few seconds of nothing. That's because I was rummaging around trying to find this bit. I put it somewhere safe, and of course that's always an issue. When you put something somewhere safe, it's finding it again. So I just pop in the eyes in through the holes so that I know that I didn't want him cross-eyed or anything, so he looks really cute. and I'm happy with the way he's come together. I've torn the bottom of the white textured paper below his scarf just to give a bit of a jagged edge, so it's not like a final straight line. So I brought in the 2 photographs, and I've now got some cardstock stars from the range that I'm going to use on the background. So I'm just trimming some of the white off so I can see how they look and getting them into position. So I'll tell you a little bit about the photographs. So every year on Christmas Eve, my daughter and I, since she was big enough to stand on a chair, we tend to do some Christmas Eve baking, ready for all the family coming on the evening of Christmas Eve. And that tradition has gone on every year, even when we weren't able to have people here, when just the household, we still did it in COVID and stuff. And every year we try and do something different, a different sort of biscuit, a different sort of cake. And that's just changed as she's got older. We've picked different things and different recipes. So we tend to look on Pinterest, see if we can find something. And this year my daughter found a picture of some polar bear cupcakes, and we decided, yeah, they were really cute and that was something we could do. So I think we did the actual cake baking on the 23rd, and then on the 24th we got up early and we worked together getting them decorated. We'd even ordered some white sprinkles online to come in the post so that we could get them so they got a bit of like a fur type texture. So we do take this Christmas Eve baking quite seriously. So it was just really nice. We get some really quality time together before Christmas really hits us. So it was definitely worth documenting on this layout. So you can see me going through loads of ephemera. My hands are busy. I'm looking to make some clusters either side of one side of the photographs and one side of the polar bear. So not all of this is from the HoHoHo range, but they are all Hip Kit things. As I say, I keep all my previous Christmas stuff together. So I'm just going through, see if there's any words and ephemera that I really like. So I find the word Christmas Eve, which is perfect. I also find sweet treats, which is also perfect. So I think I've got enough to go on. So what I do is now I scoop everything off, typical me, and then I start to stick it down. So I'm using lots of double-sided tape on the back of the polar bear. I don't feel that it needed foam. It looks quite raised already when it's stuck down. So that's the way it is. But there's plenty of tape just to try and keep him in position. So I'm taking the stars off their backgrounds and I'm sticking them down. There's a couple there that I thought maybe they were a bit dark, so I moved them off. I might choose some others, and I'm adding the silver stars across the scarf with just a little bit of wet glue, and I like the way that those look. So I'm putting the photos into position with a little bit of foam pads, and then I can work on the embellishing. So considering we've got a big polar bear and 2 photographs, I still feel like there's quite a lot of white space at the top there. It doesn't feel too overcrowded or cluttered. And I think that's to do with the colour of the stars. I think they're there, but they're not, if you know what I mean. So that works really well. So I was going to call this Happy Holidays, but then I saw the word Family Traditions on one of the puffy sticker sheets. So I've cut off the word tradition. So we're going to go with Christmas Eve Traditions as the title. So I'm working on the cluster on the left. I like the way that's coming together really well, just adding some flowers in there. And now I'm looking at this cluster on the right. I want it to go up the edge of the photograph ideally. I want the title just to overlap the photo. Try not to get too straight a line at the bottom. And I also want to add a little bit of journaling. So all this is going through my mind as I'm sticking these bits down. Also trying to get in a little bit of dark red in either cluster to go with the scarf, so that it just stop it sticking out too much. So, and I'm also trying to bring in a little bit of that tealy blue on either side as well, just to keep all the colour combo moving around the layout. And I've got lots of pieces to choose from to get this to work, so I'm quite pleased with the way that that's looking at the moment. I'm putting some foam pads behind a few bits, just securing that photo down a little bit more, so that I can get the word So Pretty on the top of it to go with the cupcakes, and just adding the other words Christmas Eve on a bit of foam as well, just to lift it up so I can get the word Traditions quite close to it underneath. Because they're puffy stickers, they work really well. Also they're a bit bendy, so it doesn't matter that I've got part of the T on the photograph and the other bits actually stuck to the background. So yeah, that's working really well. And I'm not sure that it actually needs too much more, if I'm honest. I will just stand back from it in a moment and try and just like appraise it, see if I feel that those clusters need any more, because I'm very aware that I want to add some journaling to this as well. So I decided that maybe just a few little crystals might be the answer, just to add a little bit more to this. So I find some little teal ones in this pack. I've put them on the paper because I'm having trouble getting them back in the bag, so I will tip them back in later on. But so I put some teal ones across the scarf, and then I decide I'm going to add some pinky peach ones down either side. So I come back in with the wet glue just to stick them down. I do lick my finger in between. I could do with probably a little gadget. If you know there's a gadget for picking up these sort of things, do let me know, but I'm sticking with a wet finger at the minute. And I'm just adding them just randomly down either side. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how that looks. It's nice and shiny. This is the full image, and there's some close-ups too. Thank you so much for watching. Do check out the cut files at Just Nick. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Any advice, any tips, any questions, just ask in the comments below. So thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.